Hello. So today we're going to be looking into the video that supposedly shows Kylie's car going into the water. This video is from a surveillance camera that basically, I'm sure you've seen the video, but it's basically a night view of what seems to be headlights of a car pulling down in the direction of the body of water and then disappearing. So I want to start with, I'm going to very strategically place my questions here, okay? My first question, you're going to be like, huh? My first question is, and I'm okay if I'm wrong, is the reason that Sammy mentioned in one of her early videos or early interviews, she mentioned knowing where the cameras were. Was that to set up this revelation? That's my first question. Death in reverse. Inner purging, like speaking. Yes, it was setting up. Pull one card. See how I can say this best. She knew that the situation was going to, or could possibly call for this video to be released. What I would say is they weren't entirely sure if they were going to need to use this video, because putting this video out is a risk of the video being debunked or something along those lines. Three of Swords came out. So putting the video out, there's a certain risk, right? So in the beginning, it wasn't that they were just going to put this video out no matter what. It was if it was called for. So did the authorities have this video for a longer period of time than when they released it? King of Swords. Clarity. Yes. So this is something that they had, and they were not putting out until the timing was right. Is the car, are the lights on the video a car? Page of Pentacles. So yes, it's likely that that's a car. 10 of Swords in reverse. Recovery. Messenger, recovery. So if you look at the video, there's a car, there's the lights that are in question that are said to be Kylie's. And then if you keep watching a couple minutes later, I don't know how long because it's sped up in the videos that I'm watching, but a short time later, there's another light that comes down to the water and then goes away. These cards are saying that that was Kylie's car going into the water, but the other car was a recovery. It was whoever was putting the car in the water, that person came to pick them up. What else can we know about that? Wheel of Fortune. Wheels. They came to pick them up. So this is like a messenger, a helper, right? Financial money. So someone who's getting paid likely, or has some kind of financial gain or something along those lines. Earthly protection. That person was putting the car in the water, and then the other person came, those other lights came to pick that person up. That's why they were like a little bit of the ways down. That person probably ran across or somehow got across, but they were picked up. So when we see the lights going down towards the water, is that when Kylie's car went into the water? Let's just leave it at that. Nine of Swords. Yes. Okay, so that was her car going into the water. Was it that someone else was putting the car in the water and then got picked up? by the other lights that were seen right next to it. The star. Yes. So they're trying to make it look, how can I say this? The other car coming to pick up the person that put the car into the water also brings the element of the video not looking staged to be just Kylie's car being the only car there. So it kind of, it makes it look like, it puts in that element of it could have been an accident because look, there's other cars there. And look, like she wasn't, like nobody was there when it happened, but somebody was there right after, so the car had to go into the water, something along those lines. Like it puts in that element. They're trying to push the narrative of an accident, so if there's other cars in the area, it's like that was even the person coming to pick the other person up, that other car that's in the video, that car is there already planning the setup of this. It wasn't just, oh, I'm gonna pick him up and then, oh crap, later in the video there's another car. That car was put there for a reason. That's why they're in the video, right? So that's why those other lights are there. Because that's been a big deal. Everyone's saying, oh, there's another light. There's that same thing happens a couple minutes later. Well, yeah, the first time the car was going into the water, and the second time the person who pushed the car into the water was getting picked up. Like, we're getting a ride. So, okay, so the person who pushed the car into the water got into the getaway car, called a getaway car. What did they do afterwards? Two of Wands, they had to make a choice, decisions. They had to choose a path, which way to go. Ace of Cups in reverse, no love, repressed emotions. So they had to make a choice to emotionally separate themselves from the situation. So it was like, kind of like a what's done is done attitude. So now we just got to cover it up. It doesn't matter how we feel about it. It doesn't matter, like maybe they got choked up in the moment of pushing the car in. I highly doubt it, but I'm just throwing that out there. It was like once in that car, they were either talking or preparing to separate themselves emotionally from what happened. What is this? Why was this video put forth when it was? As in, why was it not put forth earlier? And why are they not waiting? Why did they put it out when they did? The Sun. They had 10 of Wands. They had to. People were too speculative. They wanted to redirect that narrative of the accident. They wanted to push us back towards, look, there's her car making a sharp turn and going into the water. It's that people were very much looking into this case, probably more than they expected. I'm sure they expected it to some extent, but more so, and they just got pressured into having to release this video, knowing that once they put the video out there, there's going to be speculation about the video itself, but they were really willing to take that risk because it's almost like the public was so close to proving what had happened without this video. This video brings that small element of plausible deniability where it's like, oh, well, maybe it was an accident because if this is her car, it shows her car, you know, what could be her just driving into the water. They had no other choice but to put it out, which means that people were getting close to figuring it out, having the proof to figure it out, putting enough pressure on the right people. Maybe they were getting scared that someone was going to slip up or like sell the story to somebody. I don't know, but something had to be happening that the general consensus was getting close, and this video was worth the risk to put out, because without it, it could have unraveled. Okay, so how can I word this? What was the strategy and planning that went into either the production? No, okay. What went into the production of this video? So knowing that they were going to be on video, which they've said since the beginning. Sammy knew this since the beginning, right? She knew where the cameras were, and turned out camera was in the perfect spot. So what went into the production of this video? Which, and by that I mean they knew what would be in the sight line of this camera. What was the preparation like to get the right things in the frame at the right time? Nine of Wands in reverse is about struggle. Hanged Man in reverse. So I don't think that this video was planned before the death happened. I think this video was planned in between the death and when the cover-up of it began. It was like a last minute, oh yeah, there's cameras, let's use that to our advantage. Let's make sure that we get this happening in the camera so that we can later use that as proof if our original plan doesn't work. It was like plan B getting put into action very early, knowing that there was a high likelihood of plan A not panning out quite the way that they expected. It's a little bit hard to get away with this when there's nothing else that Sammy can say other than I just left my friend high and dry at a party. And there were sketchy people there and all this stuff. So all of that, it's going to make it a little hard to believe any story that comes from her, because you left your friend at a party where there were sketchy people and now you're trying to get us to believe you in an adult matter. Can't. So it does seem like this was like a last ditch, let's use probably like something along these lines. Like, what should we do with the car? What should we do with blah, blah, blah? Okay, let's put her in the water, but let's use these cameras to make it look a certain way so that if our original story doesn't work, we can go back later and look at these cameras. The police knew these cameras were there. Why would that not be the first thing that they look at? Knowing where these are government cameras, knowing where the cameras face, knowing what they are looking at. If that's just incompetence, that should also make us very worried. If that's not the first thing they think to look at, knowing that those cameras are there. So this was definitely something that was the camera's position and the camera's recording was something that they were using to their advantage, that was brought into life, or that was brought into their plan in between the event of her death and when they pushed the car into the water. It wasn't very long before. It's not that they were like, oh, we're going to use these cameras, blah, blah, blah. It was in that moment that they kind of started to put it together. Tower. Yeah. It was... I don't think that they were setting her up to die. I think they were setting her up to be some kind of experiment. And when it took a bad turn, that's when everything kind of started to come into motion. But also think of it this way. Do you think a child is going to think to use these cameras in this way to set up what it's going to look like months down the road when their first plan doesn't pan out? No, that's an adult. That's an adult who knows exactly what these cameras are going to see, what the image is going to look like. Do you think that Sammy's sitting at home looking at how these cameras look at night? They would have to know how to set it up so that it looks like it's an accident, even when it's a car being pushed. So the moment that the car is seen going towards the water until the lights go off, what's happening then? Oh. Three of Wands. It's about Five of Swords in reverse. So it's about waiting for your ships to sail in and putting up a fair fight. So it was like doing what they had to do in that moment, knowing that they had to do that to get them through that moment. And at the same time, literally waiting for the car to sink. It's like the person stood there, waited for the car to sink, and then ran over to the other car, or somehow got over to the other car to be able to be picked up. Five of Swords in reverse is also about cutting loose. It also brings in the element of like a past resentment. Is this where Jagger comes into the story? Six of Pentacles, giving and receiving. Yeah. This could be where Jagger comes into the story, because remember how some people did say that he was in the area after. Some people are saying he's not, but some people are saying he is. But there's also like this weird like anger from him that kind of points to some kind of guilt or guilty knowledge. Could he have been that in that car that picked the person up? Or could he have been the one that pushed the car and then ran towards the getaway car? There's something with Jagger in this aspect of the story. And it has to do with being in a position where they had no other choice. Whatever happened, happened. I believe that something was put in her drink. And then instead of getting her help, they just left her and then put her in the water. I doubt if a person is as drunk as they're trying to make her seem, I don't really think that all of a sudden she's going to be doing ninja moves to get from the front to the back of her car in seconds when it's going into the water. There's a lot of other fishy parts of this, but what is weird is, where is this anger from Jagger coming from? It would make sense if he inputted himself into the situation after the fact. So when everyone's saying, no, he's not at the party, he wasn't at the party, maybe he wasn't. But was he that person that picked up whoever put that car in the water? I don't think that... I think it's more likely that adults would have the children do that actual process rather than them do it, because they don't want to get caught, and they're adults and they're smarter than the children. Especially if it's not their parents, but it's other adults that are involved in the situation. That adult would rather say, okay, you go push the car in, then you pick her up, and then y'all drive over here and we'll meet up. Rather than, okay, we'll do it. We'll be seen on camera, potentially. I think that before I say this, hold on. The Empress. I think that Jagger was called by the person who actually is responsible for creating the scenario in which this death occurred, Sammy. I think that he was called by Sammy and was kind of brought into the situation, and then once there, directed by adults to be the one to go be that car to pick her up. which would make sense as to like why involve someone that wasn't potentially there, why call him in the first place, because the adults didn't want to be the one to be potentially seen in that video. They wanted the children to do it and needed another child that they could trust to be able to not say anything after the fact. Let's just pull a couple of these and see what we get. I don't want this to be a long video. I just kind of wanted to look into the reason of this video. Motel, hotel. That's about Jagger. It's about Jagger not being in the area, coming to the area. Caregiver. Yep. So it was like he had to come. How can I say this? Oh, hold on. Seven of Swords. Oh. Okay. My opinions for entertainment purposes only. What I think happened and how I think Jagger got involved into this situation. I think that he was called and told she's not feeling well. She's really not doing good, but he was told that she was still alive. When he got there, she was not. All of a sudden, he's getting pressure from the other people who were there, these adults, because they needed him to be that getaway car. They needed him. If it wasn't the getaway car, they needed him to help cover it up or be involved in some way. He already was like freaking out because he's like, well, now I'm here and I'm in the situation. And then kind of just let himself be convinced by others to do whatever his part in this was. Road. That's to me just confirmation, like, that he drove when he was called. Outer space. So he was not in the space. He was out of the space. He was somewhere else. Then he had to take the road to get there. Gift and AI. The artificial intelligence aspect of this, I believe, is him being told that she was alive when she was not. The gift is, in my earlier readings, I said that he kind of wanted to be in the position where he was her savior. He wanted to regain that control over her, and the best way that he thought that he could do that would be by kind of being in a situation where she has to lean on him or has no one else to lean on. So I think that when he initially got the call, he was like, okay, great, I can come and I can kind of like rescue her, make her feel better, get her out of the situation. Not knowing that he was being lied to and she was not still alive at that point. This is just my opinion, but this is what these cards are reading like to me. And I do think that the adults who are and were helping to cover this up didn't even want to take the chance of being in this video because they knew that they could potentially have to put this video out to the public if the situation became too heated, like it is, and they had to put it out there like they did, knowing that people would be ripping apart this video, trying to figure out if it's authentic, trying to figure out how much of it shows what we're being told it's shown, if it could be manipulated or changed or altered in some way. They knew that people would be really looking into this, and they didn't want to have the potential of someone being able to see that it was adults in the other car or another camera pick it up. So they had to get another child who was not there to see what happened to be the one to kind of, you know, you're putting one car into the water, well, you need another one to get away with. So like get out of the area with. Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Five of Pentacles in reverse. So when he got there and she was not alive and he was in shock and was like, what? Maybe he was in shock, maybe he wasn't. My opinion is that he was told she was alive, showed up, and she was not. He was offered money. Money of some sort. Okay, look, please, please, it just happened. It happened. She didn't make it. Please don't tell anyone. Here's money. I need your help. That's what I'm seeing happen. Let me just pull a couple of these to get Jagger's. Okay, do it this way. Jagger's energy when he received the phone call that I believe he received, alerting him of Kylie needing help. Naked before the stars. He thought that he could go and he could be that saving part, and then they could just lay there and just kind of, he would be that protector, that savior again. He would have his control and power back over her again. Let me just pull some tarot cards to make sure that I'm reading that correctly, but that's what I'm getting from that. Judgment. I don't know if that just paused, but my phone is dying. I think it's good. Judgment, yeah. So he wanted, Judgment card's about like a reckoning. So he wanted this to be that aha moment that made things better. He might not have had the best intentions going forward, but again, like I said in my other reading, it's about control for him. He wanted that control back over her. He wanted to feel special and valued and important in her life. Necessary even, and when he got that phone call was like, okay, this can make that happen. How was he feeling when he got in the car until he got there? Before he knew anything, just in the car, how was he feeling? Alone in the world. Yeah, he was really he may present as a player, but inside he has some kind of abandonment issues, mega. And he was really taking it hard that she didn't need him in the way that he wanted her to need him. Knight of Cups. So he was coming in. He was coming in to try and rescue her, to be her emotional support, to earn back, in his eyes, to earn back her appreciation, to earn back her looking at him with value or looking at him as a necessity. He wanted that back, and this was the perfect setup to do that. And you know, I think that Sammy knew that. I think that she knew that. Let me pull a card to make sure, but I think that she knew that that was the dynamic between them, and that's why she kind of lured him there to be the one to play that position, whatever he was needed for. If not anything more than just part of the cover story. I think he had a bigger to do with that. I think he was the getaway card, but he needed to be brought there, and they couldn't call and say, hey, she's passed away. Can you come help clean it up? That would be different, right? Hey, she's really sick. She's not feeling well. She needs help. Can you come and see if you can help her? Okay, yeah, get in the car. Let me go. That's why he can have an alibi, right? Because someone could have seen him go to bed and then seen him back in the morning in the same spot. Does that mean he was there the whole time? No. It doesn't. Okay, so he gets to the scene and he talks to the first person that he talks to, whoever that was. He's told what's really up with Kylie. What are his thoughts? What's his energy then? Gilded regret, triumph of lies, the child I was meant to be. He instantly felt like, oh my gosh, like my last interaction with her was probably shitty. You know, I wish that I wish that my emotional support wasn't coming now. I should have been this earlier. Recognizing in that moment that it's possible that his lies are what created the situation, because he's not being told, hey, she was drugged in her drink. He is being told she drank too much, she OD'd, something like that. So he's believing, oh, this is because of the pressure or the anxiety and stress, partially or potentially from his lies. The child I was meant to be is like, he should have been there protecting her. He shouldn't have pushed her to want to drink too much, or whatever he believes his role is or was in that. He felt very regretful for it. What was his energy whenever he was asked or told or manipulated or directed excuse me, to do whatever his part in this was? What were his emotions and feelings then? Caretaker of the lost, respite, assistance, and memory. So he was there to help out. He was there to assist. He realized, probably, maybe he didn't realize that he was called there after the fact, but he realized that why he was called was to assist. Arbiter of truth, preservation, neutrality, and obligation. So they had something on him. They had something that they could use against him, or it could have been a guilt trip. It could have been, oh, she was really upset about you. This is all your fault. He was pressured into making a decision that he didn't realize the consequences of at that time, because he was being pressured into it by adults who were probably pretty forceful about their opinion on the topic. So it was like, hold on before I say this. Queen of Wands in reverse. Sammy. So Sammy, this card's also about being demanding, drama, deceit, also infidelity. So basically, Sammy called him, this is what I believe happened. I believe that Sammy called him after KIELY had passed, but told him that she was just very ill and needed help. He got in the car and came because he believed that he would be her savior and earn merit with her again, and kind of be able to wiggle his way back into whatever position he wanted in her life. I'm not saying that he was like ready to be the best boyfriend in the world, but I'm just saying that he wanted that power back over her and saw his opportunity to do so by being that knight who comes in and rescues her from a bad situation. So he saw his opportunity, he jumped on it, got in the car, he went. He was feeling very alone, feeling like, oh my gosh, like I pushed her away and I pushed her to do this in the car. So due to that, I believe that something was said on that initial phone call. Like, it could have been something small, like she was upset about you, she drank too much. That's all that she needed to say to start to roll that guilt down the hill. So now this whole car ride there, he's thinking, okay, this is my fault, blah, 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 blah. So he already has that guilty conscience that's in the forefront of his mind. He gets to this place and has adults there and Sammy and whoever else, and he's being told, you know, while you were driving, she didn't make it. She passed away. So now he's there, has this guilty knowledge, feeling like it's his fault, and now he's being told, you know, this was an accident. We don't want, you know, her mother to know that this is how she passed away, that she, you know, OD'd or drank too much or whatever they were telling him happened, right? So they somehow convinced him that, you know, this is partially your doing because you're the one who made her upset. So now you're going to help me, you know, get rid of the car and the body. So while the car was going into the water, how was Jagger feeling? The preservation here, it really makes me feel like it could have just been a guilt trip, or they could have had something on him. I'm thinking it's a mixture of both. Like, maybe there was like, oh, 1 second. Ten of Pentacles in reverse. There was something on the phone. There was like a fight between them or something like that, that they convinced him could be used against him to hold him accountable for causing this to happen in some way. And they said, would you rather take that risk or would you rather take some money? Yeah. I'm pretty confident about that. So how is he feeling when the car went into the water? Enchantress of Night. Secrets, vigilance. I don't know what that word is, to be honest. Subterfuge. Let me. 1 second. It means deceit used in order to achieve one's goal. Wow, I'm glad I looked that up. Subterfuge. Subterfuge, I think. I'm not sure. That even looks like that's a woman underwater. I know it's not. It's the sky, but it looks like it. So secrets, vigilance, and deceit used in order to achieve one's goal. So that's how he felt as the car was pulling into the water. He felt like in order to get out of this situation without having... That's probably why he's so triggered and upset about his name being out there, because he was like, my name shouldn't be out there at all because I did this to remove myself from the situation, but it's still happening, even though I'm saying I wasn't even there. And in a way, to him, that's proving the point that he did the right thing, which is why he's so defensive of it, because he's like, if I'm being dragged through the mud this much when I'm saying that I wasn't even there at the party, which he wasn't at the party, he was there after the party. But he's saying he wasn't even there at the party, and all of this is being dragged through the mud from him, from his name. So in his mind, he's like, wow, I must have made the right decision, because, you know, if they would have found out that we were fighting and what was said and all of that, then I'd really be in trouble. How was he feeling after he left? Like, the car went into the water, someone got in his car, they drove away. What was the energy in that car between him and whoever he was picking up? Master of the Great Hunt. Authority, the hunt, natural balance. Champion of Avalon. Championship, nobility, self-realization. Peaceful among thorns. So there's all this chaos going on around him, but he's feeling like, okay, well, at least I got out of this situation, right? It's as if he was really feeling, someone had truly convinced this boy that he could get found culpable for this happening due to whatever was on that phone. A fight, a recording, something. This card to me is really like the adults that were in there. Like, that was a big part of convincing him to play a role in this, was the adults that were around that were like convincing him that he could get in trouble for his role in this, or convincing him I feel like there was some kind of video on her phone. Like, I just feel like like a lot of the times, like, the universe will kind of work in weird ways like that. And there's a video that Jagger posted, or someone, I think it was Jagger posted it, where he sets the phone up and it's on a dock. He sets the phone up and then it shows like him going over and hugging Kylie, and it's very awkward and weird. I almost feel like she had some video on her phone of something, a fight or something that he said, or something that it had to be something tangible that they could use to like put him in this position, I think. Especially if he wasn't at the party, showed up afterwards and still being silent. Just my opinion. I feel like they had convinced him to play a bigger role in this because it helps to cover up their story if an outside person is very adamant that they're telling the right story. Hold on before I say this. Three of Pentacles. There's a team that was in it for financial gain. So it really was like, it was like, all right, do you want to have the potential to go to jail for at least a year because of this video, or because of this that she had, or because of, you know, your name being dragged through the mud even, maybe not jail, but maybe like your name being dragged through the mud because of this and that. Like, do you want this to come out, or do you just want to take this money and help us cover this up because you were in the wrong too, and it's your fault that this happened, is what he was being told. I'm not saying that's true. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that she was set up by her friends that were not really her friends, but that's my opinion. But I do think that he was coerced into doing this because of the way that he had treated her, and some kind of proof of that. How does he feel right now about the whole situation? Addicted. All the knives in his back. See, or those, they could be knives or spikes. I think they're spikes. So defensive, kind of like making sure that no one gets close to the truth, and also at the same time being addicted to the lies. Like, think of like trying to convince yourself of a lie and telling yourself over and over and over and over and over that that's what the truth is. That's basically what's happening. And look, he even looks like a zombie. Like, it's like he's probably not sleeping well, and probably going over and over and over the same story in his head, making sure he keeps saying it right, because now his life depends on it. The father of knowledge, instruction, and reinvention. I think that speaks for itself. He's trying to remove himself from the situation, keep making sure he tells the lies the exact same way that he has been, and then going to slowly try and pull himself away from the story and try and go on with his own life, still holding that guilty knowledge, but not feeling responsible. And that's kind of the main element of him moving forward. Let's just pull a couple of these. The murder weapon used will provide valuable clues. Sure will. The toxicology report is meant to provide valuable clues, and I don't think that we're getting the right information or all of the information in that regard. I do think that that report, and she was cremated. So it's like, it's not like the test can be rerun by a different agency. And in that town, I think like the same person plays 3 different roles. So if that person were to just the coroner, I forget who else. But if that person were to want to cover something up, they could very easily, because they're the ones that's double checking their own work. Last one. A closer observation of the victim's living space may provide clues. Who are they saying is living with Kylie's family now? Jagger. Just my opinion. If they press him for information and offer him the right protections, I do think that he'll flip. I do think that he's not strong enough. And I think that that's why this addicted card came out, because he is very in his head and very freaking out about it on the inside, but not letting it show on the outside. On the outside, it's presenting as anger and that sharp temper, because he's very scared of the actual story coming out. And that's probably why he's being kept very close to Kylie's family, so that he doesn't be alone too much in his head with the potential to flip on what happened. If he was left alone, he might break. That's what they're afraid of. Let's pull one more card. I was wondering why he was staying with her family, and that makes perfect sense, because they know that Lindsay's not, the mom is not going to change the story now. She's too deep, but they're still afraid that he's going to. And since he was only involved in the cleanup, he could probably potentially make a deal that's good enough for him to turn on the right people and see his way out of the situation. They're trying to make sure that doesn't happen. 2 of Cups. Yeah, they're keeping him close so that they can keep an eye on him so he doesn't flip. I think he's like honestly, that would make everything kind of fit, because he wasn't in the original plan, but once it went bad, he was called in, ended up playing, you know, a key role in the covering up the actual truth. And if he were to flip, he did something bad, but wasn't involved in the worst part of it. Not that what he did was not terrible in the cleanup or the helping or the at least lying, but it's scary for the other people to think this kid could potentially go and tell even the authorities in another county if he's scared of the ones in that county. You know what I mean? He could go tell anyone. So how can we prevent that from happening? Let's move him in with the family, who is also covering for people who did something wrong to her own daughter. So if she's covering for the people, she's damn well going to make sure he does as well. Just my opinion.